Good afternoon, everyone. If you're here, you're probably someone who's been thinking about one of the most important professional decisions of your life, pursuing an MBA. And yet, if you're an Indian applicant, chances of you have encountered a swarm of conflicting advice, overwhelming blog posts, and opinions from people who mean well but don't really understand the landscape. Today, I want to cut through that noise. You see, at LeapQuest, we have worked with thousands of applicants, tech professionals, consultants, marketers, government officers, startup founders, doctors, civil servants from across the Indian talent pool. And one pattern is consistent. Most applicants walk in with not just ambition, but with a suitcase full of myths that holds them back. Our job today is simple. We are going to identify these myths, dissect them with evidence, and show you how the world of elite MBA admissions really works. Not based on what you heard at your cousin's wedding, not based on what your boss did in 1983, but based on facts, trends, and success stories from the ground level of top global MBA admits. One of the most damaging myths among the Indian applicants, especially engineers and IT professionals, is this: I'm just another profile. There is no way I'll get a scholarship at top schools. Let me tell you why this is misleading. Yes, Indian engineers make up a large portion of global applicant pool. But what applicants often miss is that B schools don't reward you for your job title. They reward you for your trajectory, your impact, and your vision. Admission committees at Kellogg, Booth, ISB, INSEAD don't sit in a room ticking boxes for your industries. They're looking out for signals of leadership, of clarity, of differentiated contribution. I've personally seen Indian candidates with a modest GMAT scores earn 70K scholarships at M7s. Not because they gamed the system, but because they showed the authentic leadership in their organization, led impactful community efforts, or had a compelling long term goal that felt real and well thought out. Scholarships are not reserved for the extraordinary, they're reserved for the well positioned. And that's what at LeapQuest we do. Position your value in a way that transcends the metrics you're worried about. This is perhaps one of the most unfortunate misconceptions we encounter. You have applied, you didn't make it last year. You tell yourself, they've already seen my profile. They didn't want me then. Why would they want me now? Let me be very clear. Top B schools absolutely love reapplicants, only if you evolve. Yale states that their admit rate for reapplicants is identical to the first time applicants. At Wharton, around 10 to 15% of each cohort are reapplicants who refined their positioning and tried again with stronger profiles. Michigan Ross has publicly said that the reapplicants often bring deeper insight, clearer goals, and more mature applications. So, what changed between last year and reapplication? Growth. At LeapQuest, we treat reapplications like we treat second chances in business. You don't return with the same pitch. We analyze your previous applications line by line, reconstruct the narrative, show personal and professional evolution, and give the admission committee a reason to say, now this candidate is ready. You're not a repeat, you're a refined version of the professional you were a year ago, and that's what that matters. In many Indian office, there is this unspoken reference for senior leaders who have studied abroad. He got into Stanford. I should do what he did. And while experience always matters, let's not confuse. Business school admissions in the 1970s or 1900s looked nothing like what they are today. The applicant pool was smaller, globalization hadn't yet flooded top schools with applicants from emerging economies, diversity was less of a factor, test scores weren't as inflated, and career trajectories weren't linear. Today, everything has changed. Holistic admissions have replaced. Storytelling, leadership depth, and clarity of purpose matter more than the pure metrics. A polished SOP won't save a shallow career vision. So while your supervisor may be brilliant in boardrooms, their admissions advised might be 20 years outdated. At LeapQuest, we rely on trends, real time data, admission insights, and live results from this year's applicant pool. If your boss starts with when I applied, be polite, but understand that you're playing a very different game today. So you're waitlisted. The first reaction, panic. The second, strategy, sometimes misguided. Many candidates start flooding admission committees with updates, thinking if I show I'm interested, they'll take me more seriously. Let's pause. Because this is where many strong applicants dig their own grave. If a school says no further updates and you ignore that and send five new recommendation letters and weekly love notes, you're not showing commitment, you're showing a lack of judgment. Even if a school welcomes updates, They're looking for substance and not volume. A new promotion, share it. A 20-point GMAT improvement, definitely. A well crafted letter reaffirming your interest after a campus visit, that can be effective. But spamming the admission committee, that's amateur. The waitlist isn't a test of persistence, it's a test of discretion. Know when to speak and when to pause. At LeapQuest, we help you navigate this space carefully because sometimes the difference between getting in and getting ignored is just one email too many. This is a myth rooted in fear, not fact. Yes, top MBA programs are expensive, but they are also very incredibly generous to the right candidates. Let's look at the numbers. Harvard, Stanford, Yale offer need based aid packages that go as high as 100K scholarships. INSEAD and LBS offer merit based scholarships that cover up to 100% of the tuition. Many schools now partner with banks to offer zero collateral, low interest global MBA loans. And here's the deeper truth: schools aren't looking for rich students, they're looking for exceptional students. And once they find them, they figure out how to make it work financially. We have helped countless applicants who are earning 10 to 15 lakhs a year secure admissions and funding to the top 20 best MBA programs in the world. It's not about whether you can afford an MBA today, it's about whether you can afford to wait another year in the same job with the same career ceiling and no global exposure. With the right planning and the return on investment of a top MBA isn't just justified, it's transformational. This one needs a lot more clarity because it affects a significant number of Indian applicants. Let's break it down. 3 year degrees. The traditional Indian BCom, BA, BSc, yes, these are recognized by most US and European B schools, especially when backed by a credible credential evaluation like WES. There are exceptions. Stanford and Berkeley remains cautious, but most of the top 30 global schools accept 3 year degrees if the rest of your profile is strong. There was a time when second MBAs raised red flags, but not anymore, provided you have a strategic, well articulated rationale. Maybe your first MBA was functionally focused and now you're pivoting towards leadership. Maybe you're changing geographies. Maybe you're aiming for international mobility in a different industry. Schools like Columbia, INSEAD, and Oxford are open to these stories when done right. At LeapQuest, we specialize in reframing your academic history not as a duplication, but a trajectory. The second MBA isn't a weakness, it's an informed choice if it adds value, depth, and global readiness. This myth is outdated and counterproductive. Yes, top consulting and finance firms like McKinsey and Goldman Sachs are well represented in top B schools. But that's because their training builds analytical and leadership traits that align with MBA values. But here's the key: they're not the only ones. In fact, admission committee now consciously build classes that reflect a broader spectrum because they want MBAs who can lead in tech, healthcare, sustainability, policy, media, entrepreneurship, and we have helped candidates from PSU backgrounds, manufacturing, retail, digital marketing, even performing arts crack into schools like Tuck, Yale, Cambridge, and HEC Paris. Your job title isn't your brand, your trajectory, your story, your values. That's what gets you in. The most powerful MBA applications is not the one with the most buzzwords. It's the one with the clearest direction and the most honest voice. That's the narrative we will be building at LeapQuest. Let's quickly destroy a few more myths that needs no lengthy explanation but just clarity. My recommender's grammar is poor, it'll hurt me. No, the content and the authenticity of their message matters more than the punctuation. I have a gap in my resume, it's a red flag. Not true. If it was intentional, purposeful, and even just be honest, you just need to own it. Be authentic and not apologetic. I should constantly express how much I love the school. No, follow the prompts. If the school doesn't ask you why them, don't force it in. Pandering weakens your entire story. So, how can we help you? Here's the truth: there is no perfect candidates, only strategically positioned ones. The most successful MBA applicants aren't always the ones with the highest GMATs or the biggest titles. They're the ones who have been able to take their journey professional, personal, and aspirational and make sure that it is compelling, that aligns with the school's vision. At LeapQuest, we don't offer templates. We offer tailored strategy, curated storytelling, and tactical clarity. We help you shortlist the right colleges, build your essays from the scratch with real strategy, secure scholarships, and prepare for interviews with confidence, and tackle even the toughest profiles: 3 year degrees, reapplication, second MBAs. And if you're serious about this dream, let's build the roadmap together and let's make sure that when you hit that submit button, you know you have left nothing to change. Thank you so much, guys, for attending another webinar session. I hope it was informative. And in case if you would like to reach out to us, you can always visit us on our website and keep an inquiry in the contact form. We will be getting in touch with you, or you can just drop an email to info@theleapquest.com. And you can also WhatsApp at 935325647. I hope you're all gearing up for the round one deadlines. In case if you need any assistance with respect to the application planning, working on any of the application requirements or the mock interviews or the scholarship assistance, you can always reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to assist you throughout your entire journey. Thank you so much again and all the best.